Yo, welcome back to the Bold Studio podcast. I'm your host, Regan Strand, with my co-host, Colin Craig. And today we're talking about the subject of AI. Man, and how it works in the workplace. Is it a beneficial thing? Is it a hindering thing? I'm excited to talk about this. Colin, are you ready to fire the questions off?
Yes.
Let's go.
So, basically, what are your thoughts on AI, like ChatGPT,
Right,
and Midjourney, and other various AIs and their use in work?
Before I answer that, let's back up and ask a question with answer the question with a question.
Okay.
Why was AI even invented? Why is it being used? Why is it being pushed right now?
I don't actually know the origin of. I mean, I know that obviously someone created it. It wasn't just like.
Let's just try something fun and just see what happens.
God spoke and AI was.
No.
But I just remember at some point I just saw people talking about ChatGPT. ChatGPT this, ChatGPT that. And I was like, I don't know what ChatGPT is. And they started talking about, like, it's AI and you can talk to it and have it give you all this stuff. And I was like, I don't actually know. Like, that sounds scary. But it just all of a sudden was just this huge thing. And now I have just adopted using it. So I don't actually know the origin or how you even get to making an AI.
Okay, so according to Google,
I'm going to ask ChatGPT.
wow, that's a terrible idea, but okay. It says, where did AI originate? In 1952, a computer scientist named Arthur Samuel developed a program to play checkers, which was the first ever learned, which is the first to ever learn the game independently. In 1955, John McCarthy held a workshop in Dartmouth on artificial intelligence, which is the first to use the word, and how it came into popular usage. And so really the idea and the concept of artificial intelligence, aka AI, aka ChatGTP, was really for machine to start using intelligent learning to make life easier. As we are using more machines and robots in everyday life, the goal is to make our lives as humans easier. Now, the conspiracy theorists say that because we're doing this will end up having robots take over the world. I don't fully disagree.
Yeah.
Because if you start creating machines to start thinking and learning for themselves, then what stops them from doing the whole, HAL 3000 thing and shutting down spaceships and killing people? Because, did you watch Age of Ultron? Perfect example. It was great.
Yeah. iRobot, Terminator.
Any of these scenarios where, obviously these are movies, not real life scenarios, but anything where you're allowing a machine to make a decision for you, I think could end up being detrimental for all of humanity. Now, I say that also with this caveat. I heavily use ChatGTP. Heavily. I do think Midjourney, as it's creating art, I use that quite fervently. Just as a creative, I just like to experiment and see what that stuff looks like. I think prompts and having things generate things for you is different than machine learning algorithms to alter what we do as humans.
Sorry, my foot was on the wrong side of the chair, so I was very uncomfortable.
He was like, I don't want to. So going back to your original question, does AI help the creative space? I think it is an essential way that we use a tool to make the process easier. Whereas before we had to go reach and try and think and spend hours of writing copy, because I'm not a writing copy kind of guy. That's just not my thing. Or getting inspiration quickly to get these things done. I think that's where AI has become an essential to my workflow, is it's making my process faster and easier to obtain work, which in turn gets me jobs quicker.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people that are like worried that AI is going to take their jobs. And I think there's some jobs that, I mean, that could potentially be true, especially with the copy editing thing. Like, or a copywriter, like if your job is to write copy, and there's someone above you that can just say, "Oh, I'm going to use ChatGPT."
Right.
Like, yeah, maybe, but the use of AI as a tool and not its sole purpose is to just create a thing. I think there's a place for using it as a tool, but when you start saying, like, take graphic design for example.
Yeah.
If someone's like, "Oh, design me a logo," and you just go into whatever Midjourney or whatever AI, and you're just like, create a logo with these parameters, then you're not actually designing it. You're just telling an AI to create it, and the person that asked you to create it could have very easily paid $5 or whatever it is for AI.
Sure.
And just said the same prompts, and it just creates it. And then all of a sudden, the graphic designer that could have been paid X number of dollars is not getting paid because an AI did it for $5.
So do you agree with that or disagree with that?
I don't agree with AI doing all of the work, but using it as a tool is fine. So another example, in Photoshop right now, you can do like generative fill,
Which is so great.
It's really cool. But I've had people be like, "Oh, can you just remove this person from the background?" And before, you would just take the spot healing brush or the clone stamp tool or whatever and just like go and slowly remove the person.
Meticulously.
Yeah. But being able to just say, select an area and say remove person. Or you don't even have to type in a prompt. You could just hit generate.
Right.
And it kind of somehow knows.
Figures it out.
Yeah, it just knows what you're trying to do.
There's that machine learning thing again.
And like that's fine. That makes a process significantly faster.
Right.
And I think there's a place for that type of thing. But if you're just trying to create stuff from scratch, I mean, it's cool to try it, but I don't think that using it as a replacement for a graphic designer or whatever. There's AI video stuff now.
Right.
And that's weird to
That's
watch.
actually really
I saw a whole trailer
Yeah.
that was AI generated. And obviously they're pulling that stuff from somewhere.
Right.
There is a source that they're pulling the stuff from, which you kind of get into, like, is it stealing the person's original content to make this AI generated thing, or like because it's stock footage or whatever and it has access to that, like, is it okay? I don't know.
I mean, I still, yeah, it's stealing. I mean, it's pulling
So-
it from, but I mean, like stock footage though. I mean, if it's
Yeah,
pulling
like
it from there.
if it's on stock footage, like, it's not stealing when we just use it for our, like, you can.
Yeah, but we still pay for like a subscription for it, or even like
You're paying for the AI stuff too, like,
right.
So, but like, if it's pulling from stock footage that's already available, like we take stock footage or stock images or whatever, and we will make our own thing from it. So if you're using a tool to go in and pull footage from that
Right.
to make its own thing, is that not the same thing that we're doing?
I mean, I would just say yes, but at the same time,
You're
I
just
feel like
you're
it's
just adding a middleman, which
Yeah.
is the AI,
to do the thing
to do
for
the
you.
thing for you.
Right. I don't like it, and I guess this is where it gets hard because like, as a video content creator, I'm like, man, I know that I could go source those better myself. And I say that I don't know because I know what trailer you're talking about, and I'm like, actually, that was pretty sick. They did a good job. But I think where it becomes a bigger issue is kind of like how you said, where people are trying to allow that to be the thing that makes it. So versus if I needed a graphic, instead of hiring a graphic designer, I just go to ChatGPT or Midjourney or whatever that is and create that prompt. First of all, you're gonna have to have the right prompts for it to come out the way that it needs to look.
Yeah.
Or you'll just be, I'll just settle for that, and it's never gonna. You can't transfer that to, bags or logos or websites or just. I mean, like, it is what it is.
Yeah.
That's where I would say I would pay a designer, and as a designer, in my tool bag, I have AI to generate those things that I could pull from and then recreate
Yeah.
the version that I need from that. So I as a business owner, a creative person, I mean, I'm looking for ways to save money all the time. I'm looking for ways that I can do things not necessarily cheap, but I mean, have a quicker way of making said product.
Also saves you time.
Right. I mean, because literally time is money.
Yeah.
You know, and so if I can find an AI way for us to do that, even right now, I got 13,000 photos that I'm have to cull through. I don't got time for
Who
that.
takes 13,000 photos? That's
Colin Craig does. That's who does that. That's wow.
That was me.
Yeah, it was you. That's fine. I'm not mad because there are some great photos in there, but we have to go through that. I'm going to go look for some sort of AI generated program to go through and hopefully find the best 8,000 photos, so I don't have to go through 13,000.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm sure there's some. I don't know what it is, but I'm sure something out there can do it. But that's going to make my life easier. And honestly, I'm going to try. Okay, even cutting podcast right now, Autopod, cutting this thing would have taken me like 5 hours to sit and chop through.
Yeah.
But now I mean, for the most part, it does it in like a minute. And I'm like, great.
Do you still have to go back and watch?
I do.
Yeah.
I think it's just quality control at that point.
Yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, again, it does a really, really good job. Really good job.
And that's if you have like 3 cameras.
Right.
Probably go even faster if it was just 2.
Right. So and it saves me time. Now, again, I do go back and watch for quality control to make sure everything looks good. But at the end of the day, it's making my workflow easier. And now if you try to give that to someone who's never done graphic design or video production, it's still going to take you significantly longer to learn that program, how to implement it, and then get it to a final product before an actual video person would. So I think AI it's great. I love it. I use it all the time, but I don't think it replaces the creative just yet.
How long do you think before AI is like from as a college perspective?
Okay.
Before AI is an accepted way to write college papers, and as long as you know how to prompt the AI correctly, that's a passing grade.
I think that will depend on the professor ultimately.
But broadly accepted as a because right now there are people like when ChatGPT first came out or whatever.
Right.
There were college students, which I would have loved that in college. Like that would have been great. I would have gotten in so much trouble, but it would have been great.
Would have made life so much easier.
But I would have written my artist statements with AI. Like that would have been a good thing. Anyway, so when it first came out, people started using it to write their college papers.
Right.
And a lot of people were just getting away with it. And then a program was implemented or whatever, utilized to read through someone's paper.
Oh.
And be able to determine was this
used ChatGPT?
Yeah, was this AI generated?
There were
the people because when they first started and they weren't getting caught with that, the way they weren't getting caught is if it's AI, probably not going to have any mistakes. They were telling it when it was writing the papers to include 25% mistakes.
Wow, you could get specific with it,
it would just randomly throughout the paper just add mistakes, because if a professor is reading that and it sees a mistake, it's like, oh, this person actually wrote this, and
man, that is some creative thinking. See,
but the professors and the colleges had to adapt to people using AI and start figuring out a way like, okay, we need to be able to tell if people are using AI to write their papers, because otherwise people are cheating, getting passing grades, going into the work world, and they're not actually.
As a person who is not a huge fan of our education system, is it really cheating? I mean, yeah, it is, but
I mean, I think there are benefits to colleges.
Yeah.
Even if you don't use it every day, like it's still, and it's more so for me. It was just task management, keeping up with tasks, knowing I have to get this paper
done by this time,
and like you can't really do it as a job in college because otherwise it's just like you're paying to do work, like
That makes
actual
sense.
work.
Yeah.
So they have to have something for you to do. So it's in the form of essays and
essays and work. And,
yeah, things like
yeah.
that. So
I don't like
with
Go ahead.
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Basically, like how long until AI is an accepted?
5 years.
I feel like that's reasonable. There will be some people that are like college professors or whatever,
Right.
that are just holding on to not using that.
Right.
I don't want to say like traditionalists.
But that's why I say I think it will depend on the professor. But if you're talking about just widely acceptable, I give it 5 years, because I think at some point even the professors are going to be like, hey, this actually makes my work easier, and if at least they can get the concept of this, and that's just where our world is going with. I mean, Apple Vision Pro, and the way that you can do more with technology nowadays. I mean, it's like Toys R Us. You're gonna get left behind if you don't adapt and change.
Yeah.
It's true. And I love Toys R Us. Rest in peace. But have you heard of iSchool?
Nah, I don't think so.
Dude, okay.
What is
I
it?
wish this was around when I was a kid, but basically it sounds terrible, but it's an all technology school.
Virtual Academy?
Yeah. So like no. It's basically it's a physical school. You go to like, I think we have one here in Colleyville, Texas. I could be wrong. But basically it's a school where like you get an iPad, like a kid is given an iPad or some sort of computer, and you actually go through like technology learning as an elementary student. So you learn coding, you'll learn like Python, you learn all these different types of coding programs. You learn how to navigate through technology like while you're 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and it's prepping them for the future of where our world is going with it, which is technology. And so I had a couple of kids who I used to teach, and and that's what they did is they went to this iSchool and they loved it. Like they were like, this is how this is how their future is going, because they can start building careers basically in elementary school, getting this type of training. And so that's where, I mean, even with my son, I'm like, dude, let's learn some coding programs. That's why Minecraft is so cool for kids right now, is because they're essentially coding in their own little world and stuff like that, So I just think as an education system, within the next 5 years,
Yeah.
I would see college as being acceptable.
Yeah. I could see universities just being pretty anti use of AI for a little while, like 5 years. But then like them accepting it and then saying to professors like, hey, if you want to accept this, like that's up to you. It's your classroom. You can accept this if you want. If you don't.
But as a university, we accept it as a deal.
And then also just like offering classes for using AI.
Right.
Like that's something that probably would have been in my degree program.
I would have taken it.
Had
I known that there was going to be a world where we're going to develop systems where we can make this stuff happen, I would have totally taken it.
Yeah.
I mean, I somewhat take it now, but
I mean, I took like introduction to computers, and it was like, let's learn Microsoft Word, and this is how you open a new file, and that kind of thing.
This is an Excel spreadsheet, which I probably should have really paid attention to.
There was definitely a portion of that class that was like spreadsheets.
Yeah. Like Microsoft Word, not
even
a big deal. Excel,
that class was outdated.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was introduction to computers, but it was an outdated class. Like all the stuff. I mean, not 100% outdated, but it was behind.
I went to,
which is why I did so well in it, because I was already around computers.
He was like, past this already.
Yeah.
I went to school for business, and the business classes that I were taking were dated back like 5 years. So everything that I learned and graduated with, completely irrelevant, especially to today's business.
Interesting.
Yeah, sucks. Because I was like, I feel like I wasted 4.5 years.
I don't think really anything that I took was like, other than that computer class. I mean, it was outdated when I was taking it, but other than that, I can't think of anything that was like, just by the time I got out of college already over with. A lot of it, especially in the art side of it, was like learning software.
Yeah.
So like Illustrator, and they're updating that kind of stuff all the
Oh
time.
yeah,
so
that
like,
stuff is always changing. I would say as far as like business tactics and the way that worked 20 years ago, it doesn't work the same way now.
yeah,
It just doesn't. And especially for the business that I'm in, like most of the stuff that they taught back in school doesn't work for what I do.
So like, what kinds of things in college?
I couldn't tell you off the top of my head at the moment.
Okay.
I mean, the things that stuck were like business percentages and things of that nature, and how do you like write proposals and stuff like that. So, I mean, like that stuff I still sort of use, but
Now you can use ChatGPT to write proposals.
I mean, at this moment,
Yeah.
it is so much faster.
Yeah.
And then contracts and like what that kind of stuff works like. But I have them write contracts too, and I make sure that my lawyers look over it and stuff looks legit. But at the end of the day, actually, let me ask you a question: How do you feel like AI has helped you grow as a content creator?
I don't think it's really helped me grow as a content creator, other than it's just made things more efficient.
Okay, so it just made things efficient.
So like
for you.
like yeah, if AI can make things more efficient, great. I mean, it's the same kind of thing with like the invention of cars, like is more efficient. Machines making cars, like that's more efficient.
I agree.
That kind of thing.
Yep.
Now, if it was like AI designing the cars, I don't know that I would quite trust that yet.
Feel like that's what happened with the Cybertruck.
Not that there's not the level of like human error in designing things, but I don't trust AI that much
To design a car?
to just design a car,
Yeah.
make the car,
I agree with that.
and then get on the road and trust that it's like safe.
Structurally sound.
What if it's like, all
What
of
if
those?
it's too safe?
What if it's like all those AI movies? Like, did you ever see iRobot?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
With Will Smith.
Smith? Yeah.
You remember the self-driving cars?
Yeah.
And it's just high speed down the highway.
Yep.
And like, I mean, all those people on there were trusting to drive, like trusting the self-driving car. I couldn't do that.
I couldn't. I don't do that.
And I mean, also, he was going way too fast to probably be able to handle the car himself.
Probably.
He did. He ended up getting in a wreck. He was also attacked by robots. So like, there's that.
There's a lot of layers in there, but
Yeah, I don't know that I trust AI.
not that we're going to go on a driving tangent, but that's one of the things I tell my wife all the time is I'm more of an offensive driver than a defensive driver. And there is a difference because if you watch how people drive today, it is so aggressive. And they're just, I mean, they don't really care who is in their way. So with that, she's definitely more of a defensive driver. Like I'll do 85 miles down the road, but knowing I can handle my car in case somebody gets in my way. She'll do 65 and be like, I'm gonna back off. And I don't think either one of those are wrong, but I'm like, I'm definitely more of a, I got to get to where I'm going, and I think there's a sense of control that happens when you drive offensively than defensively. What are the top 3 AI programs that you would suggest to use as a creator?
I mean, I feel like ChatGPT
Okay.
is a good one.
Okay.
I think the AI stuff in Photoshop and Illustrator that Adobe's implementing,
Oh yeah. Yeah.
like that.
I don't use Illustrator as much as you do, so I don't know.
That stuff is kind of cool. You can actually tell it to make logos, which I know kind of goes against what I was just talking about, not using it for that. But it's fun to try.
Yeah.
And actually, I have used it for inspiration for things.
Well, I think that's fine though.
But that's the same thing if you were going to, like, let's say you're going to create a logo from scratch.
Okay.
It's okay to look for inspiration in other people's work.
Agreed.
Like going to a stock photo website or whatever. Like you can find inspiration for things as long as you're not just like copying it and whatever. Like I think that's fine. So having AI create something to use as inspiration for something that I'm going to create, that's kind of cool to do. Something else that I've kind of just been playing with. So with paying for the the X premium,
Yeah.
you get access to their AI, which is like ChatGPT.
Okay.
And it's kind of interesting. They have a regular version that is just helpful. It's just general, like ChatGPT is.
Right.
Then they have a fun version, and it's kind of like sarcastic. It'll give you, you know, it'll answer your questions or whatever it is that you're trying to get it to say, but it just kind of has a fun spin to it. But they just released another version, and it is
Aggressive.
it's aggressive.
Yes.
It is.
Was it really?
Yeah, it's unhinged is what it's called. It will. Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Deadpool a little bit.
Oh, okay. I can't say I like a Deadpool.
I mean,
I do like
it
Deadpool
just
though.
it's kind of
It's just funny.
like Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, I like Ryan Reynolds.
He
It's a very crass person.
yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that.
Okay.
Like the first time I
okay with
used
that.
it, I read what it said, and it was in Ryan Reynolds' voice, and I was like, this sounds like Ryan Reynolds.
Is that bad?
No, not
Okay,
necessarily,
all right.
but I mean, it's just an interesting take on
Depending
the
on how
use
that
of
works.
AI. Like, if you want to have an aggressive conversation, even if you're trying to get it to do something helpful, that would be the AI.
Okay,
Too. Now, ChatGPT is probably never going to do that. I don't
I mean,
think.
I think if you told it to, it probably would.
No, it's too respectful. I've tried to get it. I've tried to get it to say things just to see if it would say.
Wow.
Yeah, and it won't. It won't do it. It's like, as an AI software program thing, I'm not allowed to do X, Y, and Z. I think like terrible. Just like
I was my brain was like, what would you have ChatGPT do?
Like, it won't insult you.
Okay.
Like, if you asked it to insult you,
I'm gonna do it right now.
okay, you can test it. It won't insult you.
I'm using ChatGPT on my phone to see.
It's like, we need to keep things respectable or whatever.
Okay. I'm gonna say insult me.
I don't think it's gonna do it. Did it say as an AI?
Oh, it just says, I'm here to provide helpful and positive interactions, so I won't insult you. If there is anything specific you need assistance with, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Yeah, it's not gonna do it.
You are polite.
So the
wanna say thank
XAI,
you.
I think it's called Grok. Grok.
Rock?
Grok.
Oh, Grok.
Grok.
What a weird name.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. But yeah, it will insult you if you use the unhinged. And maybe even if you use the fun version. So the regular mode is just like a little icon with a slash. The fun mode is the slash, and it's got like little sunglasses. And then the unhinged is like crazy eyes.
What is the definition of unhinged? A mentally unbalanced, deranged. Unhinged, unhinging, in a sentence, the violent acts of unhinged minds. Deprive of stability or fixity, throw into disorder, a chain of events unhinged the structures of his family. Is it terrible that I want to have some sort of business or branding called Unhinged?
I mean, I don't know what you would.
TBD on that.
I don't know what you would use.
Me neither, but TBD. So to wrap this up, I would say as AI tools unfold and more are being created every day, I think as creatives, it's our job to use them, to utilize them, to take the tools that's just like finding stock footage or presets or templates, use them to your advantage, but obviously take them and mold them to your creative abilities. That way your work is still being shown through these things. It's just a tool in your tool bag that's making your job easier and allowing you to go and do more projects because your time is now well managed with these assets that can help you get your projects done quicker.
Yeah. Basically, you be the creative. Don't let it be the creative for you.
100%. And if you're a business owner, I think you should either if you're a business owner, I say you either learn the programs that work well for you, and either you learn them or you find people who are well versed in them, hire them to use said programs. That way your work progress has a deeper reach. You can get more done for your business. Cool. Well, that's it for today. Thanks so much for tuning into the Bold Studio podcast. Again, my name is Regan Strand with my co-host, Colin Craig. We'll see you in the next one.